Hello, and welcome to the channel. Today's model is this bass guitar. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. As you can see, this is going to be a bass model. We get the instructions and the sprue out. This one can go pretty quickly. There's the picture of how it will look after it gets done. And there's all the numbers for the pieces. Be a pretty simple build. It's only one page. Basically only 4 sets of instructions. Here's the etched side of our model. Let's take it out of the package and take a look at both of the sprues here. As you can see, they have it in the instructions, they have them numbered, each piece. So I like to lay them out the way that they have them on the instructions so it's easier to find the numbers. Just like that. And then we'll begin with part number 1. You find it on the instructions and then start cutting it out. When you're cutting them out, make sure that you're cutting the triangle pieces off of the piece. As seen here, a little triangle piece, and you just take your snips and you give them a nice little clip. You hear a pop. These rounded bits right here that stick out, do not clip those. These are your tabs. You do not want to clip those or else the model will not go together. Just go around the piece and make sure you get each one. As you see, I accidentally missed one there. There we go. And there's a couple more at the top. Make sure you don't pull too hard on it and make sure you get it off of there. Now we'll go to the part number 2. See, there's the edge side. This model actually has the numbers on them. Metal Earth models usually don't have them, but this brand has them. Here's the etched side, and here's the unetched side. You want to make sure that the etched side is the side that you keep up when you bend your tabs, as that's the part that you want to have seen. Make sure you bend the pieces to a nice 90-degree angle so it'll fit. Then you just insert those tabs, the rounded tabs that I mentioned earlier. Sometimes you have to bend it a little bit more just to make sure they fit through there. Make sure it's nice and snug. And then we'll grab our tab bending tool. You can also use your tweezers or pliers. As indicated on the instructions, we're going to twist on these. Twisting the tabs 90 degrees so that they make a nice snug fit. Since this side won't be seen, twisting is okay. When the tabs are on the outside, it's better to bend them so that they don't stick up and get in the way or look ugly. Continuing on with the pieces, I just go with the next number. You start with 1 and just keep adding to it to whatever the instructions say. Now here I have flat nose pliers that I'm using to bend the tab down. Right on that line there's an etched line for where you need to bend it that has the tab attached. As soon as my camera focuses, there you can see there's a flat side and then there's where I bent it. You bend it at a 90-degree angle so it's nice and flush. So when you add it, it just clips into place. Sometimes you bend that tab just a little bit and it slides right in. And again, you twist the tabs. This is pretty much what you'll do through the whole model, is just add pieces, either twisting or folding over the tabs. On this piece here, you have etched lines, but you want to make sure you fold on the crease that they want you to, and only do it at a little bit of a triangle. You're going to take this piece here and add the small piece to it, otherwise you will not be able to attach it because you won't be able to get behind there to bend the tabs. So following the instructions, we'll add it like that. Make sure to keep that little triangle shape. That way it sticks up. We'll add that to the bottom. Sometimes you need a little push to get the tabs just to bit in just right. And use your tweezers or your snips to get them in there just right. Sometimes it takes a second to line up the little slot at the end of the bending tool to get it just right so you can twist them. And they are attached, and we go to the next pieces. Now we have these pieces that are going to form the knobs. What I do is I take these rounding cylinders and I match them up with the size just to make it easier to bend it. I go a size bigger just to get the metal to start bending and then work my way down. So you just put the cylinder in the center of the piece and bend the pieces that are supposed to bend around. Here I use my thumbnail to kind of push the ends into place. And once I get it close, I go ahead and use the tweezers to make sure that the ends are together. And then I fold the top tab down to form the rest of the knob. And there you have it. There's one knob. And you add that to the top. This one's a smaller knob, but there are 4 other knobs on this model. So just make sure you get the right number and add the piece on there. And twist your tabs. There you go. All you do is just do that 4 more times, and there you go. All your tuning knobs are attached, and it's starting to look more and more like a bass guitar. Looking at the instructions, that's all that was just completed. Now it's time to add the neck. Making sure to only clip the triangle pieces that are holding the pieces onto the sprue. Make sure to avoid clipping your tabs. And just work your way all the way around the piece to make sure that you get each one, and when you get the last one, it usually kind of pops off there, like that. Now here with the long piece, you could use this long bending bar, but the way that this neck is set up, the headstock won't allow you to go all the way in with it. So what I'll do is I'll take my flat nose pliers and I'll start bending some very small bends all the way down, so I don't twist the metal as I go down. So I try to keep it straight. See, this very small bends. Working your way down, just a little bit at a time. Just take your time. That's the key here. With metal models, it's just take your time, because you can break the metal. So just make sure you get it all in a 90-degree angle. I'm also squeezing the metal to make sure that the ends are nice and flat, because you can get a little twist in the metal. So I'm just making sure that everything is nice and straight. And then I come over to the other side. As you can see here, as I'm bending it, there you can see dotted line. That's where you want to fold any of the folds. Like in the triangle piece before, you want to make sure that you only bend there and not on the edge lines. Just work your way up and down until you have the piece completely bent. And there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and bend that tab as per the instruction. And this is where it will attach, but before I attach it, I'm going to make sure that I add everything to the headstock of this bass guitar up at the top here. It'll be easier than holding the whole model in your hands, where you could possibly bend anything. This piece here, you want to make sure that you get the curve on the top of it before you bend all the tabs. I did not, and it took me a while to go back and bend it nice and slow, so I didn't wind up breaking the piece. You see, I'm trying to bend it with the rounding tools and my tweezers. So just make sure you round it off to where the side tabs have the curvature. Here I realized that I was not even in focus on the camera. Bend the tabs down. Make sure that everything is aligned. Go. You go ahead and add it to the top. Make sure that when you add it to the top that the curve goes according to the instructions. Took me a second to get the tabs added just right. Just need a little extra touch. So once I got it on there, before I move the tabs to secure it, I take the instructions and look and make sure I get the right curvature. As you can see there's the curve, flat part on the top, the curve going downward. And there you can see the curve going down on the instructions. So we know that that part is in there the correct way. Now I will attach it to attempt to attach it to the bottom. There's quite a number of tabs there, so it does kind of make it hard to just slide right in. But just take your time and you'll be able to get it in there. There, now it's really starting to look like a bass guitar. These pieces that I'm cutting out now will be the inside piece for the tuning knobs. They will connect both on here and on the neck of the guitar. I'm going to make sure that those tabs will align to those. So I'm going to see what size that they're going to be and grab the correct size bending tool. I always like to go one larger just to get the bend started, just to give it a nice even bend. Bend it around and use your fingernails to push the ends on there to round them out as well. Here I'm just using my pliers to make sure that it gets rounded on the end pieces. And there you go, nice and round. I like to start by putting these pieces seam side in so you don't see the seam. Put them on the headstock, that way I can add the string part later. You go ahead and twist those tabs because that will be hidden later. And this is how it will look once they're together. Just gives it a little bit of depth. So you do that 4 more times. And there you go. Now we'll add the string part on there. So make sure to bend every piece on there that needs to be bent first. Remembering to keep the edge side up so that it's visible. I chose to do the bottom side first just to kind of lock it into place before attempting to attach all the tuning knob portions. Here you have your option of bending the tabs either away from the center or into the center. I chose to do both just to show you what each would look like. It's difficult because you have 2 tabs per tuning knob and you have 4 of those, so you have 8 tabs you're trying to lock into place, but just take your time and they will all fall into place. Here I'm bending them inward first. And it looks like that. You can also bend these outward, which I found it was just a little easier to bend them outward than inward, and it looked a little bit better. As you'll see in just a second. Just making sure that the lugs stay rounded, and there you go. There's the difference between in and out. Since I've already had them bent, I'm just gonna make a pattern and have the diagonals either way. So I will have 2 in and 2 out. You can do them however you wish. I must say it was a little easier bending them outward, and it looked a little bit better in my opinion. As you see here, when I cut it off of the sprue, that there was a little extra tab on there. I just like to remove those so it's nice and flush and smooth. It just looks a little bit better in my opinion, but that's up to you if you go that far as to take those off. Just make sure that when you do it, you don't clip the piece itself. Just make sure you get just inside to get the little piece that's sticking off. Nice and smooth. In looking at the pattern, you can do it either way. You can either have it this way or this way. I don't think it really matters. This next step will be adding the body to the headstock area. This part was a little tricky because you had to bend it around to match the lineup of that. I found that the easiest way to do that was to add the first tab in and then just slowly work your way around, bending it and adding each tab as it goes. There are etch lines letting you know where each segment is to go around. That's very helpful to know as I'm pre-bending each piece to try to do an outline of it. Using the roundness of the tab bending bar to round out the little curves here and there. Just make sure you twist that first tab, that way it locks it in. The rest of them you're going to fold over because they will be seen on the headstock. Keep moving them until they latch on. You can get the tab hooked up. Just move one at a time and get it situated. Make sure that it bends somewhat close to the outline of the headstock. And here I'm just going to bend the tab down on the second tab. As I always say, just work your way slowly around. It will take a little bit of time, but you can move it around. You don't have to use a tab bending tool. You can also use tweezers or needle nose pliers to work your way around. I chose to leave this in at regular speed just so you can see how long it takes me to go around and bend each part. It does take a minute to get the curve just right, especially this hook up the top, because you have to have a bend and it's straight and curve back the other way. It does take a little bit to bend it, but you just take your time and you will get it to bend just right. So there's the line I was talking about. That'll match up with that top point. And then from there you bend it back around to finish the other curve. Sorry, I forgot to get it on camera right there. There's where I just realized that I wasn't inside the frame. Working from here on the camera, it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult. Just line up your tabs. These last two tabs on the upper part, I went ahead and got them bent in. Sorry for bumping the camera, I had dropped my needle nose pliers. Now this last tab on the top gave me a little bit of trouble to get in, but you just take your time and it will go in. And there we go. Now I'm just going back behind and making sure that each curve is put back into place. I accidentally bent it a little bit when I was putting that last tab in. And there you have it. There's the framework of the headstock. Just like I did up there, we'll do down here. Next will be the body of the guitar. There would be two sections for the guitar. There would be a piece number 14 and a piece number 15. Just make sure that you align it to the correct side. Just use the instructions to see the picture of which side it's on. I initially went to the wrong side, so I had to take it off and put it back on. This is me putting it on the wrong side at first. And it's got to be on that side. And on the instructions you have the 2-tab side and the 1-tab side. The 2-tab side is where it's going to connect at the bottom with the other piece. Number 15 down there. This is piece 14. The single tab. And there's the double tab. You want the single tab to go around. And then once you get it around there, you'll connect the last few tabs. Then this is where you'll add all the second piece. Just trying to correct the curvature of the end of that piece so it's nice and rounded. Take the other piece for the other side and you cover it around the same way. This is actually easier than the headstock because the curves are larger and easier to get around. Here I'm just gonna fast forward through this part so you don't have to watch me do it all again. Just line it up. I started it with continuing the bottom and just working my way back up. Now I did my tabs on the outside. I wish I did them on the inside. That way they wouldn't have been shown right there at the bottom. get the bend of the tab started, and then use your fingernails to push it down. It's quite easy to bend the metal, which is both good and bad because you can mess up a piece quite easily if you're not careful. Here I'm using a larger curve tool to get that bend started. Line up that tab, then work on that final curve. That curve is a little difficult, but not too bad. And there you have it. The body of the guitar is all made. The next step is to put these tuning knobs on the back of the neck. Here's what it looks like. It took me a minute to figure out how they go. There's all 4 of them on there. You want to make sure that the edge side is facing forward and for the knob itself, and the other parts, or the other edge sides, are facing outward. And you just line it up. I will say, before attaching it to the top, you should get the bend at the very bottom. There is a curve at the very bottom right there. Yes, do the curve first. It makes it a lot easier than having it attached, because then you have more room to bend it. Here I'm still struggling to get that curve just right, so definitely get that curve before you attach it completely at the top. Next step is to add the back of the guitar. like so. And there you have it. The bass guitar itself is finished. And the last step is to make the stand. And the stand is a lot easier to do than any of the other parts, because you just fold it and put the tab on top. Just be careful taking it out of the sprue here. It's a little difficult if it bends around like that. And here I can use the large bending tool. This comes in handy for large flat pieces. It gives you a nice 90-degree bend. Just slide the piece in. And there you go. I just bend over this top part a little bit to get the tab started. And once you have the tab in and bent, go ahead and round off the top. And there you have it. There's the stand. And there it is. There's your finished model. Now you'll notice on the sprue there's some extra pieces. Those are just in case they break when you're trying to bend them in the right shape. But there you have it. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.